This Canucks prospect is shocking everyone. I'll get into that later on this episode. Before I start, to everyone watching this that's not subscribed, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. We'll be here all season long giving you every update from around the Canucks, from prospect, game recaps, anything you can think of. But with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Arshdeep Bains is surprising the Canucks. Now, if you have been following social media at all, and as for Canucks, they did come out after the AHL All-Star game saying that Arshdeep, with 2 goals and 3 assists, is this year's AHL All-Star Challenge MVP. It continues on to say, leading all players with 5 points, 2 goals, and 3 assists in the finals, Bains was scored the game winner with 12.9 seconds left on the clock, pushing the Pacific Division past the Atlantic Division for a 3-2 win. It marked the second time the Pacific Division did win the title in this event. Representing the Abbotsford Canucks, Bains was making his first All-Star appearance in just his second year in the league. He missed All-Star skills competition on Sunday due to travel issues caused by extreme weather in California. Now it does continue on with the 23-year-old has 40 points, 9 goals, and 31 assists in 40 games with Abbotsford this season. The Canucks signed him undrafted, and he's from Surrey, BC, native, and he's on a 3-year deal and is on an entry-level contract as of March 2022. Now, this is just outstanding. This is a guy the Canucks got undrafted. They didn't have to use a draft pick, and so far he's looking like an absolute gem. As I said, he has been incredible since making his appearance in the AHL. You did see previously he did play for the Red Deer Rebels. In 40 games, he had 7 points, then 18 and 63, 51 and 63, and onward, where he really erupted for 112 points in 68 games. Just at the age of 23, as I said, undrafted, born in Surrey, BC, he did get signed by the Canucks, and since then he has been looking like an absolute steal. 66 games in his first AHL season, he had 13 points, 25 assists for 38 points, 40 games this year, he does have 40 points. Now, he is making a name for himself in the AHL. You've seen this guy go undrafted. The Canucks signed him, as I said, and so far he has just been outstanding. We've seen him make his first All-Star game for the AHL. He did win the MVP of this entire tournament that they had. And then you see that he's just consistently getting better in the AHL. And the big question with this is, when does he make the team? So when you do look at this, he did recently do a interview with Donnie and Daly. He said, I feel like I've gotten a lot better through this season and last. It kind of feels like I'm knocking at the door. He goes on to say, hopefully I can keep getting better and give myself the opportunity. Now, obviously, this is the opportunity of him finally making the Canucks, getting his foot into the door, and hopefully staying on this Canucks roster. Now, you see with this Canucks management group, they are known for just being patient with young guys. Hoglander played 45 games in the AHL for the first time in his career last season, and it did wonders for his confidence. He's now playing the best hockey of his career. And you see the same thing happening with Podkolzin, who spent the entire season in the minors with Abbotsford. So with the Canucks, they're not in a rush to bring a guy like this up. The Canucks do have a deep prospect pool, and just having Bains just in the minors right now, developing his game, could be a serious undervalued thing that a lot of Canucks fans aren't really looking at. Right now, I do believe, in my opinion, that the lines are pretty much set. You've seen them go out, trade for a guy like Elias Pettersson, who in my opinion was an outstanding ad. This was a really underrated ad. Yes, they did have to move on from a couple pieces, picks, prospects, and so on, but they did keep a lot of prospects this year, including Bains. Now, when you do look at this, as I said, the fourth line has been great. The third line has been amazing. And just overall, looking at this roster, it's kind of hard to figure out a spot where Bains could really slide in unless it's bearing an injury. If someone goes down, maybe you see a guy like Hoglander, Dakota Joshua, Garland, Sam Lafferty. If one of these guys do go down, I could see Bains being the first one the Canucks really take a look at and say, hey, this kid deserves a chance. Let's get him some NHL games under his belt. Now, the big thing is when you look at this and you're kind of thinking, why does it matter if he's not going to make the roster this year? But when you look at next season, there's a lot of players that are, UFAs, RFAs, players that have to be signed. There's so many players in this roster on this Canucks team that needs a new contract. You look at Elias Pettersson, an RFA going into this offseason, is going to demand more than the $7 million he's making this year. Newly acquired Elias Lindholm is going to ask for a new contract. You see guys like Teddy Bluger, Sam Lafferty. There's so many guys within this lineup at forward that especially need to be signed. Then when you look at defense, you have Tyler Myers, who, in my opinion, is not going to be re-signed. I could see this guy maybe come back on a cheaper deal, or the team's just going to look elsewhere for a bit of help at right D. But then you have guys like Filip Hronek, Sidorov, if they do not end up moving him, Ian Cold, and Mark Freeman. So where Bains comes into a big piece with this Canucks future is this guy's only making $816K this season and next. So when the Canucks are into their so-called cap crunch years, or whatever you want to call it, this is where a guy like this on his league minimum contract is really going to come in and make a huge impact. As I said, when you kind of look at him, 40 points, 31 goals, 9 assists, and he just continues his development season after season. I think this is where you can slide him into this lineup. Maybe you replace a guy like Sam Lafferty moves on to a new team. Maybe a guy like Teddy Blueger moves on to a new team. And this is where you really get the chance to use a guy like Bains. He comes in, makes his immediate impact, playing for his, home country, playing for BC. This guy is going to be outstanding, and honestly, I think he's a little underrated from a lot of fans around the NHL. So what's your guys' thoughts? Do you think Bains is going to maybe get a chance this season, secure a spot, and be on the Canucks for the current future? Do you think they might just keep him down in the AHL, let him develop kind of like they've done before? And what's your thoughts on next year? Do you think he's cemented into this lineup with how he's been playing this year? But that'll be it for this episode of Canucks Digest. Make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. Like I said, we'll be here all season long, giving you updates from all around the Canucks. But with that, take care.